Phar Kim Beng, an economist, also a researcher on the SARS outbreak in Hong Kong in 2003. Phar Kim, thank you for your time. I suppose it's a little bit too early to ask you for your eyewitness account if you believe that there are fewer travellers coming to Kuala Lumpur.
Well, the number of people traveling to Kuala Lumpur will definitely be getting less and less as the intensity of the coronavirus outbreak increases in the perception that China is unable to control the disease. So, strictly speaking, from Kuala Lumpur, the numbers will definitely get less and less, but it will also affect the rest of the region, which is Southeast Asia. In fact, there is a statistics that the coronavirus will affect the regional economy, the growth of the regional economy by at least 1%. Southeast Asia grows by about 3% each year, but with the outbreak or the trigger of the coronavirus, the likelihood of that growth will have to be reduced by 1% at least from a base of 3%.
If this thing becomes significantly worse, do you see the possibility of countries around the world, and obviously those who are closest to China, trying to stop Chinese citizens entering their territories?
Definitely, because places such as Myanmar are already considering stopping their border trade with China. In fact, Financial Times was reporting yesterday that even Russia has tried to close its borders with China, and that's a very, very long border. So a lot of countries are taking various measures to try to counter the implication or the ramifications of the coronavirus. The numbers show that the coronavirus has a mortality rate of about 2%, going up to 3%. But as the number of infections go up, then the mortality rate will strike a fear in the minds and the psychology of many travelers and also government officials throughout the world. And that's when you will really have a serious impact.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting you mentioned the psychology of people who are observing from far away what's going on in China. And we're just showing, while you're talking to us, pictures of a news conference being held by officials in China. And look at Carrie Lam, the chief executive of Hong Kong, and all of her colleagues there are talking into microphones while wearing face masks. And that, as you kind of hint at, affects the psychology of people who are watching what's going on the other side of the world. Hong Kong is obviously right next door to the mainland, and there are also confirmations from Western-based businesses who are operating in China having closed down their operations, like Starbucks apparently is not functioning at the moment across China, and there are others. What more can China actually do to mitigate not only the spread of the virus, but, and it's not as important as human life, of course, but the longer-term economic impact of what's happening with the coronavirus? The international organizations that are treating and observing and helping the outbreak of the coronavirus, they actually have confidence that China is doing everything it can.
Well, one of the first things that China has done, of course, was to quarantine the Wuhan city. Now, unfortunately, before the declaration of the lockdown of the Wuhan city at 10 a.m. on January 23rd, it is estimated that 5 million people in Wuhan managed to escape from that lockdown. So that happened on January 23rd. Now, if we consider the fact that the coronavirus has an incubation period of about 5 days to 2 weeks, potentially two weeks, then the severity of the outbreak will begin on February the 7th. That's when we will truly know how serious is this crisis, because by then, by February 7th, the coronavirus would have spread throughout China and all the places that the the 5 million travelers went to. Not all 5 million travelers are exposed to the coronavirus, but even a small splinter of them, say 10%, are exposed to the coronavirus, then we are looking at a very serious global outbreak, which is why the World Health Organization has issued a global emergency.
Phar Kim Beng, as always, thank you so much for spending time with us on TRT World.